Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Ammandas. Good morning. This is the last Sunday Dharma talk for 2020. And as such, I'd like to summarize this past year and also look to the future. I feel bad that every week I have to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic and its effect on us. But what else might we talk about? If this were during World War II, what else would we be talking about besides the war effort? Today, 3,000 Americans have died, and the same number have died the day before. This is about the same number of people who passed away at the tragedy of 9/11. So during this time, we're also concerned with other things, like normal everyday things. We're worried about our sports, the NFL, NBA, will we be playing a regular season? People talk about the stock market. We're concerned about the conspiracy theories of election, everyday kinds of things. And yet all these things are connected to the virus, the contagious virus. And so how we gather, how we shop and work and go to school and do all these things are connected to the spread of this virus. And it's important because just to think that my taking part in seeing family members may cause other people to become sick and even die. So as a spiritual leader, as a minister, I feel a responsibility. I feel a responsibility to stress the reality of our situation and to give guidance from our Dharma and how we work our way through this pandemic. Now, it's nice to know that many and most of the people in our community have followed the rules and are being safe. And I want to encourage people to continue to do that. I think we can all agree that this year has been similar to us kind of trudging through the mud. Everything we do, there's a lot to complain about. In Buddhism, we understand the concept of karma, cause and effect. The effects have been that we have the potential of catching a disease that could kill us. And of course, there are loss of jobs, decreased hours of working, or shopping just for necessity is altered, being in school, being with family and friends. We even have the inability to meet at services for important things like funerals, weddings. Our children may not be able to go to their graduations. And most important, our physical contact with each other. So we look at the cause of these effects, and the cause is ignorance. Ignorance has caused the shutdown of our businesses, schools, social gatherings. So ignorance has affected our lives. It's astounding that over 325,000 Americans have lost their lives within the last 10 months. And we know the cause and effect of this virus is very glum, especially if we continue this path of ignorance. But the Buddhist message gives us hope. Out of the mud grows the lotus. This means that the first noble truth, that it's suffering that alerts us to our ignorance, and that we can move to the third noble truth of the containment of suffering by following the Eightfold Path. The lotus needs the mud for growth. Shinran says it this way: hindrances become the substance of virtue. The more the ice, the more the water. The more the hindrance, the more the virtue. And he says, unhindered light, the ice of blind passion melts and becomes the water of enlightenment. So what he means here is that the greater the obstacle, the greater the insight into truth. And we've been really challenged this year. The severity of this pandemic and its effect on the pattern of our daily lives means that we have had a lot of ice. And this motivates us to wake up, to find the realities and the truth of life. The massive amounts of ice or ignorance that has immobilized our normal life gives us a thought that we must wake up. Everything is stopped, but the light of the Buddha causes the ice to melt, and we have the water of enlightenment that wakes us up to what is real. All these horrible conditions have been caused by ignorance. And we know how karma works. Ignorance, hatred, anger causes these terrible effects that we've been suffering. And if we want different effects, what we need to do is change the cause. Let us change the cause from ignorance to wisdom and compassion, because the effects of wisdom and compassion would be harmony and happiness. Out of the mud grows the lotus. Let me repeat how this works. Karma says for every cause, there is an effect. So let's determine what the best effects might be. And then we can become the cause that can result in the right effect. To be clear, I know that karma does not work that specifically. In other words, one cause, one effect. But generally speaking, we know that we are in this pandemic, the effect, because of the causes. No social distancing, no masks, and things like that. So doesn't it make sense to get the right effect? We must do the right cause, to wear a mask, social distance, and not gather in groups. Karma is working all the time. If our outlook on life is bad, it's the cause. We could change the cause, and the effect would be different. The more ice, the more water. The wonderful thing about Buddhism is that we can help to determine our own future. So how do we do this? If you do the practice, then it works. But we must practice until we do feel a shift. Think of the things that we started practicing and perhaps not finish. Learning to play an instrument, exercising, or things where we started something and didn't follow through. It didn't work. So what we're saying is it's important to follow through and continue. And this is the practice I had been suggesting, that we use the left hand and the right hand to represent opposing things, the duality of all things, either or. And so by putting them together, symbolically, what we're saying is that these opposing things, this duality, becomes one, both and. And this is representative of how we might look at life, bringing either or things that are always in opposition together with both and. And this is a thought of oneness. And so we can shift our mind from being either or to both and. It's a shift of our mind. To continue with this practice, we'll bring in breathing. Breathe in, hold and appreciate, exhale and let go and relax. We had done this a few weeks ago, but this is a practice we might always do to put ourselves back into being centered. Breathe in life, hold and appreciate, exhale and let go and relax. This is a natural thing we do all the time. This practice just alerts us as to what we do all the time. If you ask a physiologist, they would tell you that this breathing in only occurs because of our carbon dioxide buildup. So it is the negative that inspires us to breathe in. We hold and we can appreciate it, but we need to exhale and let go and relax. If we just breathe in all the time, we could not live. We have to let go. So again, this simple process that we do all the time, breathing in and breathing out, is what we do. It has both sides. Breathe in, we hold and appreciate. We breathe out and relax. So just doing this several times puts us in a place that makes us realize what we do naturally all the time. And we do this until we see the shift in our view, that these things that are in opposition become one. And we have the realization that with this experience, we see that suffering is part of life, and it encourages us to wake up. Another realization is that it's the way we think that shifts our mind. It shifts from please, wishing we had something we don't have, to thank you, appreciating what we already have. And another realization would be that the problems we face are what people all over the world face on a daily basis. But the challenge is what we do about it. So in Shin, there is an emphasis placed on our own ignorance. Do we admit that we are involved with climate change and that our lifestyle contributes to it? Do our actions or non-actions contribute to the inequality of income? Am I aware that in order for me to have, cheaper clothes or food, it's at the expense of low wages of other people? So we are involved with all these things, and we can do something to alter the future. We can become what we might say are cooperating advocates and doing it privately, quietly, or we can become active, engaged activists and encouraging others to do the same, to be aware. It's our larger group self that determines the safety of all people. The wonderful thing about Buddhism is that we can help to determine our own future. It's not up to some deity. It's how we respond to a condition. And the first step is to wake up ourselves, feel gratitude and joy. And like anything new with this practice, you might ask a teacher. I am open to hear from anyone. You can call or email me and talk to me. Another method of learning is in a group. And this is where we have Buddhism 1, 2, 3 on Wednesday evenings. We have an exchange of ideas and the experiences shared of many people. And I like to add my own perspective and ask questions that may help others to look closer to the truth. And this practice of Gassho and Nembutsu is not a practice to achieve anything. It's a practice we need to realize what we have already received. Practice makes real. Without this practice, an idea just remains a concept, but having a practice makes it real for each of us. So I will be suggesting next year, 2021, I'd be suggesting methods of activities that help us make Shinran's teachings relevant to us. Let us be the lotus that grows out of the mud, and the mud is necessary. Amida Buddha is often depicted standing on a lotus. In the story of Siddhartha Gautama's birth, the newborn infant takes 7 steps, and this represents that he transcends the 6 realms of human existence and rises above it, rising above the limits of human suffering. So please join us, because as our ice of ignorance melts into the water of enlightenment, it makes life better for everyone. This New Year's Eve, I will have a short video for our Joya service that Bill T will put on our website. And we will not have a shelter island bell ringing because of, again, of the COVID pandemic. But next Friday, January 1st at 10 a.m., we will have a New Year's Day Shoshu service on Zoom. And for those of you who have the capacity of logging on, please sign up. There's a sign up on Google Docs, or you can call the office. And please log on before 10 a.m. We realize that there are those who may not be able to join us, but we encourage anyone who can to join us. We will have a short service with chanting and a short Dharma talk. And then we'll break out into breakout rooms so that we can talk and chat with other members. Some of us have been meeting frequently in meetings, Dharma school, and other activities, but there are many in our Sangha who have not had the opportunity for over 10 months of meeting each other. So this will be an opportunity to try to log on to this Zoom session to see other people. So we look forward in the new year when the melting ice of our ignorance becomes the water of awakening, and we can enjoy the benefits of being the lotus that grows out of the mud. Please join me in expressing our deepest appreciation for the light and life. Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda.